Welcome, everyone. My name is Dr. David Orman, and you're listening to another episode of What You Didn't Know, sponsored by C3 Wellness here in beautiful Central Florida. Today's topic is burnout. If you look at the statistics, about 75% of workers experience burnout at some point during the course of the year. That's a huge number. To me, what's even a bigger number is that nearly 30% of all workers in all walks of life, in all fields, experience it on a regular basis. So almost 1 out of every 3 people feel burned out. What are the symptoms of burnout? The biggest one, they describe it as a psychological one, but I think it's a psychological and physical as well, and blending of the two. And I think that's one of the differences in terms of approaches that we have in natural medicine and that we have at C3 Wellness. We don't look at psychology over there, physical over there, gap in between. We look at here's the person, and it consists of a psychological aspect, it consists of a physical aspect, but the most important thing is the individual and the typical symptoms that a person would experience. Not quite depression, but certainly not their lively, vibrant self. There's usually a flatlining. How do you feel today? Not bad, not good. And you can usually hear it in the voice. There's not the bounce, there's not the chi in the voice. There is just flat line, almost a monotone to it. Perhaps the most significant or the most common symptom would be brain fog. How do you spell cat? Wait, give me a second on that one. I know this answer. When normally a person is as sharp as a tack. Their creativity levels, when they're normally high, again, flatlined. There is a lack of motivation. There is a feeling of a lack of energy. There's a feeling for what I would describe as a lack of zest for life. What do you want to do this weekend? Well, let me tell you, I want to go here. I want to experience this. I want to take this class. I want to go here. I want to jump in the water. What do you want to do? I don't know. Just kind of lay around. And even, you don't even have to listen to the answer. You just listen to the tone and you know something is off. That's the not so great news. The great news is that there are things that we do here that can be done to help put a person back on track. And the best thing is when you help physical, it helps psychological, which then helps physical, which then helps psychological. And so now we get a loop going. So we look at issues as circular. So the best part about circular is you can enter from anywhere in the circle and it affects the entire circle, versus linear, where you have to either start here and then walk along. You can't just enter at any place. And so we would address it perhaps from an acupuncture standpoint. There are particular points which help to stimulate what's called the Shen. The Shen is loosely translated as a spirit. The part of us that, when we're 100 years old and decide enough is enough, the part of us that goes on to wherever it is that we go on to, that's the part. And a lot of times when the spirit feels trapped, a horse that wants to run but is instead corralled, and this, we even have the phrase that we broke their spirit. It's a horrible, horrible phrase. We want to heal the spirit. And so there are certain points that help to heal the spirit. There are certain herbs that help to heal the spirit, clearing the symptoms along the way. So things such as brain fog, motivation, lack of energy. A couple of herbs off the top of my head that would be very, very beneficial. There is one called Panax, Panax ginseng. It's a type of ginseng that is pinpoint specific for a lot of the symptoms that I'm describing, particularly from the neck up. So forgetfulness, lack of motivation. What were we talking about? That type of brain fog. There is also an Indian ginseng called ashwagandha. You don't mind if I don't try to spell that, but you'll find it. And again, it shares similar characteristics, and they are what's known as adaptogenics. Adaptogenics. And what that means is you can get 10 people, and 10 people may be suffering from 8 different symptoms, and it's showing up differently. An adaptogen, as the name implies, will adjust, so to speak, according to an individual's chemistry. So Joe over here may be suffering from depression, and Kelly over here, she may be suffering from lack of energy. And you can take the same substance, and it will have an effect on the first person's mental acuity and the second person's energy level. So it literally adjusts or adapts according to the individual. There is also an herb called holy basil, which is fabulous. It not only helps with this aspect, where the burnout aspect, but it also helps to balance the hormones, which both males and females, but more so females because of the tremendously complicated aspect of it. And so that can also be a contributor to burnout. Also, the adrenal glands. So the adrenal glands are 2 walnut-shaped glands that sit on the apex of the kidneys. And among other things, they serve as a backup system to the heart. So when they get weaker, and the analogy that I use for weaker to distinguish from disease, weaker means I did 100 push-ups, but I really should be doing 500. So there's nothing wrong, it's just not as strong as what it needs to be. And when the adrenals are worn out from overwork, overstress, uh, 10 minutes on I-4, etc., there are a number of things that are fantastic for that. The star of the show in terms of food, there would be 2 of them. One is walnuts, our walnuts. Walnuts are kind of even look like the adrenal glands. And walnuts are also exceptional for the brain. And honey, locally grown, locally harvested honey, fabulous food for the adrenal glands. In terms of supplements, there is probably the best one is a combination of vitamin B6 with niacinamide. And I'm punching the "ide" portion of it because niacin will worsen it. B6 niacinamide helps to heal and take the pressure and the stress off. And once a person regains their energy, regains their focus, they begin to recognize, wait a second, this is the underlying crux. I have choices, I have options. Whatever the situation is, whether it be work or a living environment or a relationship or whatever, I now reclaim and recognize that I have choice. And when that occurs, burnout cannot be in the same sentence. So you can, again, address it from a physical standpoint, you can address it from a psychological standpoint. And when you get to that point where you realize, wait a second, I'm reclaiming freedom. Freedom to move, freedom to choose, freedom to do as I wish in the circumstances that I'm in. Then the brain fog lifts, the heart begins to sing and dance, and the spirit has a gigantic smile, and it's reflected in the external energy as well as a big smile in the eyes. You know when somebody who is living their Tao, their truth, their freedom, when they walk into a room, everybody feels good. They don't have to say a word, but everybody feels good. Those are the people you want in your life. You have been listening to our podcast here. Please, somewhere around here, you'll see a subscribe button. Go ahead and hit it. It's a huge help for us. It'll take you a second. I'll wait. Okay. Thank you for doing that. Subscribe to us and follow us on social media, and we'll see you next week.